What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Trippe. I'm here in beautiful Birmingham, Alabama. So glad you decided to join us today for another episode of the Alaria Masterclass podcast. We're Alabama's only real estate podcast. Most of the time we get on local guests, local to Birmingham and local to the state of Alabama. Every once in a while we get on some national guests that can give us some really good perspective on maybe not just real estate, but just maybe in business in general. And today is no different. We have from Northeast Ohio, Mr. Noah St. John. How are you doing today, Noah?
I'm doing great, Brian. Great to be here today.
I'm glad you're on the show. I've got a lot of specific questions I want to ask you about your business, which I think is really interesting, and I think that our audience is going to get a really good perspective to hear from somebody like you with what you do. You are with successclinic.com, and I want to just kind of read something that I saw on your website. I want to read this to you, and I want you to kind of tell me what this means, because I think that this quote that you have is really interesting, and I want you to just I feel like this would be a good introduction.
Sure.
So your website says, I, as in you, Noah, I will teach you how to get rid of your head trash so you can make more money. Mm-hmm. What is head trash?
And why do we want to make more money? I mean,
well,
that
everybody wants to make more money, but what is this head trash thing?
More money. So, okay, that's an awesome question. And the reason that it says that, or one of the reasons, is I've been teaching since 1998, Brian. I've been teaching people all around the world how to get rid of their head trash. And that's actually the title of my new book called Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. And the subtitle is How to Avoid the 3 Big Money Mistakes Even Smart People Make. So the point is, people ask me, what is head trash and why did you write this book and why now? Why is it so important right now? So head trash is that voice in your head that says, I can't do it because ... And then you just fill in the blank, okay? I can't do it because I'm too old. I can't do it because I don't have the time. I can't do it because I don't have the money, because I can't afford it, because I'm a woman, because I didn't go to the right college, because I don't live in the right city, because Mercury's in retrograde. I mean, whatever. And so we come up with all these excuses in our heads, but that's not the worst part about your head trash. We've heard that part before. The worst part about your head trash is you always make yourself right. You always make yourself
totally
right. Human beings have an almost infinite capacity to make themselves right. So for example, if you're saying to yourself, well, Noah, and see, when you're looking at your goals, right? Because that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about your goals. We're talking about productivity. We're talking about, increasing your business, but it also could be in your relationships. It could be in your family life. It could be in your health. It could be, wanting to lose weight. A lot of people say about my company, successclinic.com, as you mentioned, my company, they say that we're kind of like duct tape. We fix everything,
Right.
And because think about this, where don't your beliefs affect you, right? When I get to do keynote speeches, I do keynote speeches all around the country and around the world, actually. And, I coach people. I'm an executive coach to CEOs, celebrities, professional athletes, real estate professionals, working moms, entrepreneurs, network marketers. The point is, I often say to people, tell me now where your beliefs don't affect you. What area of your life do your beliefs not affect you? And of course, everybody goes, exactly. Your beliefs affect everything. Right?
Sure.
Your beliefs affect everything you do, your health, your finances, your business, your relationships. So if you've got that belief that says, for example, well, Noah, I can't do it because I don't have the time, right? Maybe you want to grow your business, maybe you want to lose weight, get in shape, whatever it might be. And you say, Noah, I don't have the time. This is the number one excuse we hear at Success Clinic. That's what we hear. And I say, okay, do you realize that you, me, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Richard Branson, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Right? So you saying that I don't have the time is a lie, number one. Number two, I can actually show you all the ways that you're wasting time during the day. And you're saying, oh, but no, I'm busy all day. Really? Watching cat videos on YouTube? That's crucial, right? For your business? Now, look, we all get caught in these things. I'm not perfect. What I like to point out to people is there's so many gaps and holes that we can just start to, but first you have to become conscious of them. Another people say is, oh, I don't have the money. No, I can't do it. I can't afford it. I don't have the money. Really? And what about all those lattes you're buying and all the, you're subscribing to Netflix and all these things that money's just going down the drain. And you say, and so people say, oh, so you're saying you don't want me to have any fun? No, I want you to have fun. But you also got to realize when you're telling yourself these excuses, this head trash, you're going to make yourself right. So if you're going to make yourself right, you might as well use it for yourself instead of against yourself.
So I feel like this just opens up a whole bunch of questions, right? Yes. Everything that you're talking about. First, I guess the first thing I want to kind of dig in with what you were just talking about is just the natural tendency for most people who are listening to this to say, roll their eyes and say, here we go again. Right. I was told this because I coach and teach people how to do real estate. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the most important thing is we've got to get your limited belief. We got to get your scarcity mentality. We got to get rid of all that stuff. We got to really let's deal with this first before we can even do anything. Yep. And I get eyes rolled at me, right? So how do you combat that? Someone who comes to you and is like, I don't know, Noah, if I'm believing in all this hocus pocus mumbo jumbo.
Sure, totally. Well, I totally hear what you're saying, and we get a lot of skeptical people, a lot of people with their arms crossed like this. Yeah, here we go again. Yeah, I know. So I've heard this a million times. And I just want people to know something a little bit about me, my background.
Right.
I started my company, successclinic.com, in my college dorm room in 1997 with $800 in a book on how to do HTML. So I didn't have any business experience, marketing experience, sales. I mean, nothing. 1997. So more than 20 years of, being online. In fact, true story, my company's 7 months older than Google. That's a true story. So the point is that I started this company because I had these two epiphanies in 1997 that really changed my life. Because I'd been studying all these personal growth books, spiritual growth, right, self-help, productivity for many, many years. And yet I could never get them to work. In fact, at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide because I was so depressed. I've been reading all these books and I said, you know what, this sucks. I'm just done here. And I decided to take my own life. Now, at the very last moment, my life was spared. And I decided to devote the rest of my life to serving God and serving humanity as best I could, while I was still on the earth. But I didn't know why I was here on the earth. I didn't know my purpose. And so it took me another 5 years to discover my purpose. And that's why I started successclinic.com in 1997, because I realized that there were certain things that were not being taught in traditional success literature. There were the gaps and holes. And that was one of the reasons that we get so many people who say, yeah, I've heard this all before. How come I'm still stuck? And what's so funny is when you go to our website, when you go to successclinic.com and click on our results page, we call that our wall of fame. You can also go to workingwithnoah.com. That's a direct link that goes to that. But you'll see that there were a lot of people who came to come to my live events. We have a 3-day live event called Freedom Lifestyle Experience, where we start with the inner game of success, exactly what you're talking about, Ryan, because everything starts on the inner game. I'll give you a perfect example of that. I was speaking at a conference for about 500 entrepreneurs, business owners in Los Angeles. I was walking off the stage. I just finished speaking, and a man came up to me out of the audience, and he says, Noah, I want you to be my executive coach. I want you to be my coach. You're the coach I've been looking for. And now I didn't know this man from Adam. Ironically, his name was Adam. And so I said, okay, well, what's going on? And he says, Noah, I'm totally stuck. I'm only making $4 million a year. Now, of course, I had to laugh, right? I mean, I said to him, that's funny. A lot of people like to be stuck with air quotes at $4 million a year, right? That doesn't seem like a big problem, does it? Right. It sounds kind of silly. So he said, Noah, you don't understand. I own a software company, and we grew to $4 million in revenues really fast, but we have been plateaued at $4 million in revenues for the past 4 years. And he says, I've thrown everything I could at it. I've hired every marketing guy. I've hired all these gurus. He named all the big names. And I've spent tens of thousands of dollars, and we're still stuck at $4 million a year. And he said, as soon as I heard you speak about inner game and outer game and head trash and your foot on the brake and everything you just said, he said, I knew you're the coach I've been looking for. So long story short, I ended up coaching for about 12 months. In the next 2 years, after being stuck at $4 million in revenues for the previous 4 years, his company went to over $16 million in revenues. So that's a 4 times increase in less than 2 years after being stuck, at the same level for 4 years. So the point is, the moral of the story is, we didn't really work on a lot of outer game stuff. The marketing, sales, the sales funnels, customer service, all that outer game stuff. We didn't really work on that much. By his own admission, the CEO's own admission, it was his head trash that was holding him back from making more money for all that time. That's why when you study all that marketing stuff, there's nothing wrong with it. Hey, we got to do marketing. You got to do all that outer game stuff. It's crucial. But if you don't start with the inner game, then you can take all the marketing stuff you want and you might still be stuck. In fact, a lot of people sabotage. Even, like this CEO, he wasn't really sabotaging. He was just holding himself back. He was what I call driving down the road of life with one foot on the brake.
So let's I don't mean to cut you off, but I guess I want to kind of define that a little bit more, because I'm still just sitting back here, not confused, but I guess I just want a little bit more clarity. When you say head trash,
mm-hmm.
You're speaking of just really just limiting belief? Is that kind of what it kind of boils down to?
Well, that's what it comes down to. Like I said, it's that voice that says, I can't do it because, and you always make yourself right. So you're always going to find the evidence for that. Well, I can't do it because I'm stupid. I can't do it because I'm too old. And then you'll find reasons why you're too old.
And Noah, what you do is you figure out what that is and you help people overcome that. What are some methods? What are some things that you actually do that are specific that help people overcome some
Absolutely. Stuff? So one of the things that I do with my clients, and we talk about it in the book, but one of the first exercises I do is I say, all right, write down exactly your head trash about money, specifically about money. 77% of the people who come to us say that money is their number one frustration. That shouldn't be a big surprise, right? A lot of people are working really, really hard and they're not making the money they want, right? That's the number one frustration of entrepreneurs. I'm working too hard and where's my money, right? And so, I have my clients write down, all right, well, what are your limiting beliefs? So I'll give you another example. So I was working with one client and I said, all right, well, we're doing this exercise that I'm telling you right now. And she said, so I said, well, what's one of your limiting beliefs about money? Or what's your head trash telling you? She said, she says, I think I'm a bad money manager. I said, really? Okay. Now, what I didn't ask her is, well, where does that belief come from? And what does that mean? How does that make you feel? I don't give a shit. I mean, I don't care. That doesn't make any difference. Where does it come from? Who cares? It comes from the ethers. It doesn't matter. What I asked her was, okay, so how's that affecting you? Right? So how is that affecting you right now? And what do you think she said? Well, when money comes in, it goes right out. I go, okay. So how, are you willing to let go of that belief? Are you willing? That's the really big question. And now it sounds like a stupid question. Like, of course I'm willing to let go, but you'd be surprised. People really hold on to those limiting beliefs because it makes them feel safe.
That's right.
It makes you feel right. So luckily she was willing to let go, and then she, went on to make a lot more money. My point is that you can do that right now. Write down, 5 limiting beliefs that you have about money. Another very popular one, by the way, and one that I work with my clients all the time on, is you can't be rich and spiritual at the same time. Right? You can't be rich and you can't be a good person and be wealthy at the same time. Because if you're wealthy, if you're rich, obviously you're a bad, mean, awful, selfish person. Okay. Well, if you believe that, you're going to find evidence to make it true, number one. Number two, if you want to be rich and, you're trying to make money, you're in business, right? You want to make money, you want to be wealthy, whatever that means to you. But, I don't want to be a bad, mean, selfish person. So what am I supposed to do? So guess what? When I start to make a lot of money, I'm going to be a bad person. I better get rid of that money. You see what I mean? All these things are operating at a very subconscious level. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, this looks like a nice day. You know what? I think I'll hold myself back from success today. Nobody does that. But that's the point. It's on the subconscious level. That's why, like at my live events and in my coaching and, in my speaking, when I'm speaking at conferences and events, we always start with the inner game.
Right. I think it's really interesting you said that you don't ask the question, how do you feel about this? You asked the question, what was it again? What do you ask?
How is this affecting you?
How is it affecting you?
I'm always about results, Brian.
And
I'm about results.
And are you willing to let it go?
Yes.
Those are questions I feel like aren't being asked enough because they seem too simple, but those are probably the appropriate questions.
Well, I had one gentleman come to one of my events, my Freedom Lifestyle event, and he said, Noah St. John is the easy button. That's why I have that right here. Because he actually says, he's on video. You can go to the webpage and see for yourself. He says he was actually kind of annoyed at how simple it was at first. He was like, wait a minute, how come this is so simple?
Yeah.
And then he thought about it. He said, wait a minute, that's what you pay for. You pay for simplicity, don't pay for complexity. And, that's the point. I'm the easy button.
I think, too, you mentioned this earlier, maybe in the question before, that it's like for people, I guess, for you went 5 years trying to discover your purpose.
Well, a lot longer than that, yes. But 5 years after I decided to commit suicide, yes.
Right. But it took you 5 more years. I think that that's really something that gets overlooked as well. Someone who cannot find why on earth am I here? Why am I really here? The person that's just even the business owner. I'm not talking about necessarily the person that's in the rat race, even the one that maybe got out of the rat race and started their own business and maybe has a little bit of freedom. Like, let's just use me for an example. I've got a little bit of freedom and I'm still chasing stuff. I'm still chasing things that just make zero sense. And I'm constantly reevaluating things because things change. You hit goals and it's like, well, what's next? I just hit all my goals. Now what? Now I got to like reevaluate everything and set new targets and set new goals.
Right.
Talk to that person for a second. The entrepreneur or the person that's out there that maybe is quote unquote successful, but is still maybe lacking in being 100% in their purpose.
Well, absolutely. And that's what I was showing you. So in one of my other books called The Secret Code of Success.
We're going to talk about all your books, by the way.
What's that?
We're going to talk about all your books, by the way.
Well, we don't have time because I've written 14 of them, but we can talk about the most popular ones. Anyway, so you see over here, this is what we call the Power Habits Pyramid. And what you're talking about here is the top level of that, which is called Find Your Because. All right, so what I teach my clients, one of the big things that we talk about is finding your why to. All right, so everything in life is about why to's and why not to's. The mind, the human being is an infinite weighing machine. So you're constantly, every second, you're weighing your why to's against your why not to's. And so if you don't have an ultimate why to, that is what causes persistence. See, a lot of the traditional motivational speakers, which I'm not a motivational speaker, by the way. In fact, I had one client at one of my speaking events many years ago when I was speaking to business owners, and I speak at conferences all around the country. She said to me, "Noah, you're not a motivational speaker, you're a motivating speaker." I thought that was a nice distinction because I sure don't want to be classified as a motivational speaker because that's, Chris Farley and all that stuff. But anyway, my point is that one of the things we look at is your why to's and your why not to's. Your why to is what's going to actually cause you to keep going through life's challenges. All of us are going to have challenges thrown at us. I mean, whether you're Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, or average people like you and me, we're going to get things thrown at us. And what causes success is this behavior of persistence. The problem is the traditional teachers just basically said, well, persist. Persistence, that's the key. Well, okay, that doesn't mean anything, right? You can't just persist. Persist in what, says the brain, right? And so the human being is a meaning-seeking organism. We are always seeking meaning in life. Even if there isn't any meaning, we're looking for it. So we have to oftentimes create meaning. So for many people, most of the people that I work with, a big why to for them is making an impact on people, either in their communities or in their, around the world. That's one of the great things, of course, about being on the internet and having what we call a freedom lifestyle business. That's why the event, we call it Freedom Lifestyle Experience, to give people that experience of having that freedom lifestyle. But the beautiful thing is you can impact people all around the world just as easily as someone down the street.
Totally.
That's really one of the great, amazing, wonderful things about the internet. For example, my products are sold in 140 countries around the world. How could I have ever possibly reached 140 countries, without having something like this? It would have been impossible. So the point is persistence is caused by having that why to. So finding that is really crucial.
So, okay. So that leads into the obvious next question is how do you find that though? Because that's not something that's very easy. And it took you even, a lot of your life, your adult life to figure that out, and me as well. So what are some easy steps? I'm a big practical kind of guy. I want to know a step one, step two.
Sure.
What are some easy steps that we can take, maybe the audience that's listening that can take to discover it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I teach in my coaching and in my books and in my online programs and at our live events. So a quick exercise we can do a quick exercise everyone can do right now is to ask yourself, what would I do right now if money was no object? In other words, if I had all the money I needed, what would I be doing right now? Would I be doing what I'm doing right now? Or would I be doing something different? Number one. Number two is to ask yourself, well, what is a message that I would like to get out to the world? In other words, what's a message? And so one of the things that we look at when I talk about productizing your genius, I believe that, in today's hyper-competitive marketplace, there's really no marketplace anymore that isn't hyper-competitive. I mean, let's be honest. A few years ago, it wasn't so, but just everything's competitive now, very, very hyper-competitive. So the point is, why would someone choose you over someone else? What we do with our clients is we help them to build these, like online different sales funnels. That's the digital marketing aspect. That's when we're getting into outer game, right? So remember we talked about inner game. Now we're looking at outer game.
Right.
And so the point is, when you productize your genius, I'll give you a great example. So we had one woman who came to us from Canada to our live event. She's a chiropractor. And she says to me, hey, Noah, I want you to help me make more money, grow my practice. And, she says, I hear you're the guy that helps people, add multiple 6 and 7 figures to the business. So I want you, can you help me do that? I said, well, sure. And she said, well, I want to get more patients. I said, that's great. Do you have any knowledge in your head that you teach people? Like when patients come into your office, do you help them? And she said, well, of course I do. And I said, do you, like give them advice on, wellness and maybe weight loss or just general well-being? She said, well, of course. I said, well, do you think we could take that, what's in your head, package that up, and then maybe sell it online? And she said, oh, no, I could never do that. I said, why not? She said, well, I don't think anybody would find it worthwhile. See, head trash, right? I don't think I'm good enough. That's the number one thing that I'm combating with my clients is not believing in themselves. That's why my sign here says, I believe in you, because I think we all need that message. My point here is she just didn't believe she could do it. She never thought she could do it. I said, well, Dr. Stacy, there's a lot of people who I think would benefit from your knowledge. And the great thing is they don't just have to be in your community. They can be anywhere in the world because of the internet. She never thought of it before. And so long story short, we helped her get her products online. She's now published her first book. She's got 6 products, live event, mastermind. So the point is, that's the whole point, is what is inside of you? What is that message? And then, you have to take the steps to package it up, because the fact of the matter is, if it's just you working one-on-one, by definition, there's always going to be a ceiling on your income. There's no way around that, because it's not scalable one-to-one. So one of the things we teach is how to go from one-to-one to one-to-many. Right. And that way you can have a greater impact and a greater influence and income, to have that freedom lifestyle.
This is really good stuff. My question, I guess, is it seems to me like you've either spent some time, you got to spend some time like studying the brain, you got to study the way human activity, the way people think, the way people operate. Talk about that. Like, do you have a degree in something like this? Like, what would qualify one to be in a position like yours?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually do have a Ph.D. In metaphysics, which is something I don't even advertise, but because it's like, yeah, who cares? So the point is,
just curious. Yeah.
Yes, I do. But really, I've been studying since I was a little kid. I've written 14 books that have been published in 17 languages. I'm actually the only author in history that has works published by Hay House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, Mind Valley, Nightingale Conant, and the Chicken Soup for the Soul publisher. No one else in history has ever done that. And so, the point is, what I have always said is, people don't care about your degree. They care about the degree to which you can help them achieve their goals.
I agree.
Okay. So, that's the thing. When I look at the other people in this industry, nobody really has a degree, which is so funny. They're just really good marketers. I'm not a great marketer, but I am a good teacher of marketing. And so that's what's nice, is that what we've seen is that's why people say to me all the time, like, Noah, I hear you're the guy that people go to after they've been to everybody else. And yeah, that does seem to happen. I kind of have become like the internet marketing cleanup crew over here.
Well, so I asked the question, not to try to be offensive at all to you, but I asked the question because I think that, again, going back to what you said earlier, that you're not asking the question, how does that make you feel? And I feel like that's what someone with a degree, a psychiatrist, that's what those people are going to ask you. How does this make you feel? Well, let's get to the root of this. Let's figure out where this came from. And you said earlier, who cares? It doesn't matter where it came from. If you discover where it came from, then what? You still need to try to overcome it and still need to. So,
right. No, I'm all about results, Brian. That's why you go to workingwithnoah.com and you can see that, we've helped people make tens of millions of dollars. And to me, it's all about results. And that's the other thing we talk about at Success Clinic is there's a big difference between personality-driven success and system-driven success. You can't turn on Facebook these days without, some guy next to his cool car and shiny objects and like, hey man, aren't I awesome? It's like, yeah, dude, you're awesome. Have you helped anybody else? Yeah. Or is it all about your stuff? And that's the thing for most of the so-called mentors or gurus out there, it's all about their cool stuff. And that's good marketing because they understand that the human brain will look at those sexy things and go, ooh, I want that. Yeah, I want that cool car. And yeah, the point is, probably most people watching, and I know I've given those guys tons of money and they never gave me anything. It was like, great, I just contributed to their next car.
Right.
So what did I get? Nothing. So what we look at Success Clinic is a system. That's why, even at our live events, I mean, we have, 16-year-olds, we've got, teenagers, we've got people in their 50s, 60s, but the point is, it's about a system. That's why I showed you earlier, what we call the power habit system, because it's going from the inside out to develop that strength. But also, when you're talking about building your online store, for example, there's a system for that too. So we just look at system-driven success, which basically means if you follow the system, you're going to win.
Noah, tell everybody where they can get that book, your newest book, and,
sure, absolutely.
and how they can get a hold of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money, How to Avoid the 3 Big Money Mistakes Even Smart People Make. You can get that right at our main website, noahstjohn.com. That's my name, NOAHSTJOHN.com. So noahstjohn.com. And also, if you want to look at our live event coming up, it's freedomlifex.com. Freedom Life X, the name of the program is Freedom Lifestyle Experience. So freedomlifex.com. And you could even, because you're watching this show, you can even bring a friend for free. So it's buy one, bring a friend for free.
Awesome. When is it and where is it?
Our next event is November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Las Vegas. We do it twice a year. So it's always held in Las Vegas, usually May and November. So our next one coming up is November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Awesome. And and as I mentioned earlier, teenagers can come for free. So we had a couple that came and they brought their 16-year-old girl. Wow. She went home and started her own online business. 16 years old, selling custom-made yoga pants. I was just making 5 figures a month, age 16. Isn't that awesome? I mean, so we want to pass this on to the next generation.
No doubt about it. We'll link all that up in the show notes, guys. So don't feel like you got to break your neck to try to scribble stuff down as you're driving. Just go back and look at it in the show notes. We'll have all that linked up. Noah, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and kind of teaching us, giving us some teasers about what it is that you do and how maybe we can get rid of some of our head trash.
It's my pleasure, Brian.
All right. See you next time. Guys, go and hit that subscribe button. We love you so much, and we'll see you next time.